Pijana Balabha Giribharadhari Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantara Shiman Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shishiguru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We've reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, General History, Chapter 3, Liberation from the Illusory Energy, text number 29. Evan Krishnat Manateshu Manusyeshu Chasauhridam Paricharyan Chobhajatra Mahatsu Nrishu Sadhushu Evan Krishnat Manateshu Manusyeshu Chashuhridam Paricharyan Chobhajatra Mahatsu Nrishu Sadhushu Evan Krishnat Manateshu Manusyeshu Chasauhridam Paricharyan Chobhajatra Mahatsu Nrishu Sadhushu. Please chant. Evam Krishnat Manatheshu Manusheshu cha sauhridam Mahatsu Nishu Sadhushu Evan Krishnat Manatheshu Manusheshu cha sauhridam Paricharya Chubha Jatra Sadhushu Evan Krishnat Manatheshu Manusheshu cha sauhridam Paricharyan Chubhajatra Mahatsu Nishushadushu Evam. Thus Krishna Atmanateshu, for those who take Lord Krishna as the Lord of their soul. Manushyeshu, humans. Cha, and Sauhridam, friendship. Paricharyam, service. Cha, and Ubhajatra, rendered to both moving and non-moving creatures, or the Lord and his devotees. Mahatsu, especially to the pure devotees of the Lord. Nrishu, to human beings. Sadhushu, those who are fixed in saintly behavior. Translation and purport by the disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One who desires his ultimate self-interest should cultivate friendship with those who have accepted Krishna as the Lord of their lives. One should further develop an attitude of service towards all living beings. One should especially try to help those in the human form of life, and among them especially those who accept the principles of religious behavior. Among religious persons, one should especially render service to the pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the highest duty for devotees of the Supreme Lord, is to establish friendship with those who have completely surrendered to Krishna and who have thus achieved Saranagati, shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. One should render service to both the Lord and his devotees, since the Lord is more pleased by sincere service rendered to his pure devotees. One should not officially offer respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his devotees, and his worship of paraphernalia, but should actually render service to the representative of the Lord, who are known as Mahabhagavatats. I read that again because I think I read it improperly. One should not only officially offer respects to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his devotees, and his worship paraphernalia, but should actually render service to the representative of the Lord, who are known as Mahabhagavata. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Romapada Swami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Satarine Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also have a very short purport for this verse. He writes, one should learn to have affection for humans whose very life is Krishna. One should learn to serve Krishna and his devotees. One should learn to serve persons worthy of respect and persons who are equal according to their status. My spiritual master once explains that Krishna consciousness can only thrive if there is a very strong culture of respect. The culture of respect in our tradition, Vaishnava tradition, is taught in the principles of Vaishnava etiquette. Vaishnava etiquette, Lord Chaitanya explained, is a crown jewel of a Vaishnava devotee. The crown jewel. So the principle, so Vaishnava etiquette, the pillars of Vaishnava etiquette is expressed in the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Shikshastaka, in the famous verse that, according to Srila Rupa Goswami, we should wear as a necklace. In other words, always have it in the forefront of our behavior and meditation and cultivation. These four qualities: Trinara pi sunichena tarora pi sahishnuna amanina madanena. So, four principles or four pillars in which the whole Vaishnava etiquette, which is a crown jewel of the Vaishnava, these four pillars are humility, tolerance, respect to all, and not respect to yourself. So the last one is basically curbing one's false ego. So these four things are there. And if we're able, Lord Chaitanya explains that to fully manifest these qualities, we can chant the holy name constantly. We can actually be able to enter into the relationship with the holy name. So, in this verse, the particular Nava Yogendra that is speaking is Prabhuta, Sri Prabhuta. And he explains more or less the qualities of a Madhyama Adhikari and the behavior of a Madhyama Adhikari. In one sense, we can we can, consider this theme of this verse as cultivating devotional discrimination and Vaishnava etiquette. And this, more or less, is the path of the Madhyama Adhikari that represents the what Lord Chaitanya calls as Goshti Ananda. Goshti Ananda. There is these two things, or these two um, um, paths for the Vaishnava. One is a Goshti Ananda, and one is the Bhajanananda. The Bhajanananda is one who is focused on his personal meditation. And in general, is someone who have fully renounced the world and basically living in a solitary place, engaging in bhajan. So it's called Bhajananandi. Is very much part of the tradition of Gaudiya Vaishnavism that at one stage of one's advancement in Krishna consciousness, one basically goes into this position of a Babaji. Um, it has been part of our tradition, but our Vaishnavacharyas, based on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, has focused on the mission of Lord Chaitanya, which is to bring Krishna consciousness to the world, every town and village. So, as missionaries, the mandate for all devotees, followers of Lord Chaitanya, is to engage in bringing Krishna consciousness, bringing Krishna consciousness to all, to be Goshti Anandis, to be preachers, to be missionaries. So, to outreach, to go out and bring Krishna consciousness to others, to share Krishna consciousness to others. So this is the position of the Madhyama. The Madhyama is the preacher. So in general, even when a pure devotee who can, to have the qualification to enter into internal bhajan, the term in yoga is used is samadhi. So the pure devotee who have that qualification to enter into this very ecstatic personal bhajan goes into the position of Madhyama Adhikari for preaching. So in one sense, we are given here the principles of a Madhyama, how the Madhyama act. And in one sense, we can take this as, for some of us that are not yet in that position of Madhyama Adhikari, we're still in the beginning position of Kanishta Adhikari. For the ones of us who are there, we see this as where we have to be and what we have to cultivate, what things we have to do. And understand that these are the qualities of a Vaishnava that fits within the line and the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Preachers. So, cultivating devotional discrimination and Vaishnava etiquette. So, in the Madhurya Kandambini, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur defines the Madhyama Adhikari So it's very important, established by our Acharya, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, tells us that we expect it is what we're supposed to do, endeavor very much to come to the position of Madhyama, to be able to properly execute the mission that is being given to us. If we're not in the position of Madhyama, then in the Kanishta position, we have a lot of obstacles that we have to deal with that don't necessarily allow the proper flow of the devotional energy to be properly distributed. So we have to be very structured and careful and, in one sense, regulated in our position of Kanishta Adhikari. But I'm going to try to touch on that. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti defines Madhyama Adhikari as such. This is in the fourth, the book have different showers, Madhyama Adhikari, the Madhurya Kandambini, is the chapters are defined as showers. So in the fourth shower, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, a Madhyama Adhikari is one who has first firm faith, shraddha, and scriptural understanding, but not yet realized the Lord's in all beings. So, when you become a pure devotee, the Uttama Adhikari, you're able to see a spirit. It's this principle of Shama Sharveshu Bhuteshu that you can actually see because you have fully realized the Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma. So, this devotional discrimination in the Madhyama platform is described like this. He can discriminate properly. So, this is the thing. When you come to this position of Madhyama, is the position in which you can actually discriminate devotionally, but you can discriminate. Before that, in the Kanishta, our discrimination is there, but our discrimination is tinted by our false ego or the condition that we have that comes with this body. So we discriminate according to particular, what is the word? Implicit bias. When we talk about implicit bias, are particular conceptions and patterns that are in the subconscious that makes us process the world in a particular way. It's already there, part of the body. So then our discrimination is mixed with that, a discrimination of a devotee who is in the Kanishta platform. But in the Madhyama, one of the characteristics of the Madhyama is that the false ego have less influence on your choices. They're still there. It's not fully finished. It is explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that you have these two forces, the false ego and the laws of nature pulling this way, and the transcendental knowledge, scriptures, sadhus pulling that way. So when you have this toggle war, when you come to the Kanish, when you come to the Madhyama, then 75% is stronger this side, 25% in this. So it's not a match. In other words, Shastra, transcendental knowledge always win because 75% against 25 is not a match. In the Kanishta, at best we can be 50-50, and that will be good for a Kanishta. But in general, the thing, one of the characteristics of Kanishta Adhikari is that it's unsteady. It goes in waves. Sometimes we're strong, sometimes we're pulling, this way, but another times, then we go into uh, how you say, a little valley, and then it gets pulled this way. So it's not steady. Even our uh, capacity to fight our own condition in the Kanishta platform is not steady. It fluctuates. But in the position of Madhyama, it is steady. Therefore, that position is called Nishta. Nishta. And that's the position of the Madhyama. In the position of Kanishta, it's called Anishtata Bhakti, unsteady devotion. So, therefore, the mandate is that through the process, that being very regulated and being very much um, dedicated to cultivate and serve the process and the mission of those who are in those levels of Madhyama and Uttama. So here's the things according to the Madhurya Kandambini, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, of the discrimination, the devotional discrimination in the Madhyama platform. So the devotee in Madhyama, he sees Ishware, love towards the Supreme Lord. So he sees the Supreme Lord. He sees Tadi Neshu. So he sees the devotee. And therefore he's able to cultivate friendship and a relationship with the devotees. So he cultivates that. Bali Sheshu, he sees those who are innocents. And to those who are innocents, there's compassion, there is mercy, there is help. And then Dvishatsu, he sees those who are envious, and he leave them alone. Is indifference towards the envious. Avoid the envious. So this discrimination is the basis of the behavior that is described in this verse. In this verse, then let me read it again. One who desires his ultimate self-interest should cultivate friendship with those persons who have accepted Krishna as the Lord of their life. Is very important. That is the ultimate self-interest. And the same thing that Srila Rupa Goswami explains, Sangha Tyaga Satobrite, that one should avoid the association of non-devotees and cultivate the association with devotees. Srila Sutta Goswami explains, that service to the devotees, to have this relationship with devotees, is most important. It's even more important to engage in the process of Shravanam Kirtanam, because in order to be able to gain a taste for Shravan and Kirtanan, one have to serve the devotees. So Sutta Goswami explains, Shushusho Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi. So Shushusho, the translations is by serving, but to gain Vasudeva Kata Ruchi, to gain some taste, Ruchi is taste, to gain taste for the messages of the Lord, the messages of Vasudeva, and to be able to engage oneself in hearing with care and attention, that type of hearing, then we have to Shan Mahat Sevaya Vipra. One have to offer this service to the devotees. Punya Tirtha Nishevana. That's Punya Tirtha. That is the great interest and the great service that one can do. So the whole thing of actually our self-interest lies in there, lies in the relationship that we have with the devotees and serving the devotees. So this principle of service, and back to what I initially say, the principle of respect, we're going to get into that. One should further develop an attitude of service towards all living beings, which is something also that can only happen if we are under the shelter of the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Because when we are engaged in Sankirtan Yagya, in the Sankirtan mission, we are a Sankirtan mission. When we're engaged in that mission, one is naturally, in order to be able to sustain the enthusiasm to perform, to be able to serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya, one have to cultivate these principles. One have to cultivate the principles of humility, tolerance, respect, and one have to curb one's false ego. Otherwise, you can't do it. And then what is the result when we cannot do these things, or we don't properly pay attention to humility and we allow pride to creep in? We don't pay attention to tolerance and we allow, things like envy or pettiness or a fault finding to creep in. We don't offer respect, so then offenses. And our false ego, well, what to say about the false ego? Then we're not able to see things as they actually really is. So when we don't cultivate this type of principles, then naturally you start to detach or disconnect from the mission of Sankirtan. And then you get more or less in your own comfort. We figured it out how to maintain our, how would you say, it's almost like low grade bhajana kriya or bhajana nandi. It's our own. We remain within the comfort zone of uh, our own group. We don't need to preach. We don't need to outreach. And the temple becomes more or less, a situation in which we get together, but outreach to bring Krishna consciousness to the world is not the main priority. The main priority, we do it for ourselves. We engage in Sankirtan, which is the community of glorifying the Lord among ourselves, but not for necessarily to help the world out there. We become detached. It becomes detached. It's still, we cannot necessarily, it's devotional service, but it's devotional service in the Kanishta platform. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur described the Kanishta platform as not only you cannot do discrimination in that level, but also the fact is that, well, actually you do discriminate, but not devotionally. You discriminate materially. So it's a material discrimination. And therefore, the Kanishta, you come to the temple and you have a relationship with the deities, with Kishore Kishori. But then with the devotees of Kishore Kishori, then you allowed your material discrimination, your biases, all those things to actually take place. Oh, I like this guy, I don't like this guy. And it's not based, it's based on our material differences. So we find ourselves, it's just part of the reality of trying to elevate ourselves from that position of Kanishta into Madhyama. We have to be very much aware. The solution for that, as long as we have some false ego, we have to deal with that. We have to deal with our uh, personal biases and all these type of things. We have to deal with material nature dictating. The solution that is given to us is the mission of Lord Chaitanya, the Sankirtan mission. The Sankirtan mission that has delivered, that has given to us by the pure devotees who we must serve. So Srila Prabhupada has given us a mission. We are Prabhupanugas. We serve Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's mission is the mission of Lord Chaitanya, is Sankirtan, is to bring Sankirtan to the world. And we have to cultivate this devotional discrimination. So we have to be aware that I have the propensity to discriminate materially, but I should cultivate devotional discrimination. So in devotional discrimination, again, we develop friendships with devotees who are dedicated. It is explained here, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur make it clear that the devotees that he's explaining here of establishing friendship, those who have completely surrendered to Krishna and who have thus achieved Saranagati. So it's not, there's different levels. It's part of Vaishnava etiquette that also there is devotional discrimination in relating with different classes of devotees. So I'm gonna read for you something, but let me finish this. Um, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta say one should render service to both the Lord and his devotees. So going against, this is Madhyama platform, not Kanishta. Kanishta is that you see the devotees, you see the Lord, but you don't see the devotees. Or you see the devotees with material discrimination. Since the Lord is more pleased by sincere service rendered to his pure devotees. One should not only officially offer respect, this is very nice, to the Supreme Personality of God and his devotees and his worship of paraphernalia, but we should actually render service. So this offering respects without service attitude is not the right thing to do. So the verse says that, yes, so let me see here. Yeah, so we can break down, each one of them. Friendship with Krishna-centric people, or like the devotees who are fully surrendered to Krishna. So, Krishnatma Nateshu, those who have taken Krishna as the Lord of their soul, build intimate friendship, Sohridan, with such devotees. This is emphasized in the nectar of instruction, Dadati Prati Granati, the six loving exchanges that are there. So one should cultivate that with devotees. With devotees, that one should search the association of devotees who are serious in cultivating these principles. Because the association of people who are serious sadhakas and not just making, or not just externally, but internally dedicating their life and their energy to try to become better, to try to overcome the influence of material condition and false ego, then we should actually develop this type of friendship. Service to all living beings, paricharyan chobaja tra, render service to both moving and non-moving living beings, reflects the Madhyama's sense of universal compassion, especially towards human beings, Nishu. So the principle of the Madhyama is that, again, is outreach. You extend yourself. You put yourself out there to benefit people. You have to bring, it's part of the mission. It's a sacrifice, it's a yagya, Sankirtan yagya. So it's based on compassion. So that compassion is a compassion that descends, from Lord Chaitanya and through the disciplic succession. And we receive that compassion. We are the recipients of that compassion. And as such, we're directed to share that compassion. And by doing that, naturally you are on that shelter, that compassionate shelter. Special care for sadhus, sadhutva. Among all humans, one should especially serve those with sadhutva, saintly behavior. For the discrimination, not all religious persons are equals. Devotees of Bhagavan are mahatsu sadhusu, truly saintly. Okay, so here's something that Srila Rupa Goswami describes in the Nectar of Instruction, in terms of relating how the Vaishnava etiquette to the different, how we relate to the different devotees. We learned this when we study the nectar of instruction, and it's always good to remind ourselves. This is in text number 5 in the purport. Srila Prabhupada described that, and in the verse in itself, also Srila Rupa Goswami explained the Kanishta worship the deities but doesn't respect devotees. Madhyama discriminate and serve devotees. Uttama sees Krishna in all living beings. So this is basic descriptions of them. One should honor devotees according to their advancement. Nama Bhasa chanters, basically the Kanishtas, mentally honor. So one should offer in our mind respect. The culture of respect is there in all levels. Even if we may see, yeah, anyway, I'll read it and then we go through that. Initiated devotees that are engaged in the service of the Lord, these are called madhyamas. We offer obeisances. And for the pure devotees, we render service. Now, obviously, we render service to all devotees. When we talk about render service, is when with the pure devotees we approach them as a spiritual master. So tad vidhi pranipatina pariprasana, the principles of service, inquisitiveness, and um, and submission. This is something very interesting. This is the insights of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says that for Mahabhagavats, for the pure devotees, actually no, he says that we actually should avoid just external shows. He says, not only show external respect, but actually render service. As one thing also in the stage of Kanishta, there is a tendency to put an external display of devotion because internally, as we develop, the devotion doesn't go that deep or may not go deep. So as we develop in Krishna consciousness, our devotion becomes deeper and deeper. But when we are too caught on putting a display of devotion, making external show, then that is the time when it's so important, when that propensity is there, that we counteract that by service. So we engage in service. We engage in service. We. It's almost like saying you put your money where your mouth is. So we truly engage in service to the devotees. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta say bhakti is dynamic. It grows through association and service. Forming friendship with surrendered souls cultivates sadhana bhakti into nishta and beyond. So he emphasizes that this type of cultivation of friendship with like-minded devotees is very important because help us in the practice of sadhana bhakti that will lead to nishta, which is a platform of madhyama. So here are some practical applications, the etiquette in devotional relationships. This is from the Madhurya Kandambini and the Nectar of Instruction. For seniors or senior devotees, We offer service to seniors, practical, respect and service to spiritual mentors, temple leaders, and advanced sadhakas. So we offer service. Friendship with equals, build relationship based on honesty, vulnerability, and shared service. So that's what friendships allow, Vaishnava, devotee friendships allow, that one can reveal one's mind in confidence. So there's where you have the honesty and the vulnerability, being able to have a space. And with that support that is within that friendship, one can actually being able to go deep in our devotion and grow. Show compassion to juniors and newcomers. Answer questions patiently, encourage their faith, and then avoid the envious. Don't waste energy in argument or offense. Someone showed me a video of no devotee friend, Ram Roy Prabhu in New York. Is very long time devotee, and he's being now recognized and for his service of maintaining a daily harinam now for many years in New York. So someone showed me a video of him being interviewed by a very clean cut fellow that was asking nice question, but it was one of these Christian fanatics in disguise. And at the end, it became clear when he asked one of those charged questions to get to Ramroy, and Ramroy understood, and instead of because he was in the street, people were around, and he was being interviewed and record with a video and things like that, and then as soon as this guy asked the charge question, Ramroy say, "Oh, thank you very much. Wish you well." And then he started to back up, and this guy got all, it was he was not expecting that. He was expecting some confrontation. And then, what, you don't want to talk about it? And say, "No, I don't want to waste your time and waste my time." That's what he said. And then he left. And the guy was left with it, he didn't know what to say. He said, "Oh, that's what," blah, blah, blah. He was saying some things like that. But Ramroy immediately didn't, you know, didn't, didn't waste time with that. Don't want to waste your time and waste my time. So the foundation of all these things is a mood of service, which is sort of grounded in the culture of respect. So one question is, okay, these are things that I have to do. We have to. Uh, if I am still influenced by the modes of nature, still have false ego, still struggling in relating to particular devotees, or particular people. If I don't find myself that I have this desire to associate with some devotees, or I find myself that I have some, I don't necessarily feel impelled or propelled to actually being able to reach out to people that not necessarily are favorable. Even if I'm not manifesting or comfortable with the qualities that is being given to us in terms of, trying to function within the principles of a preacher, of a madhyama, to try to discriminate devotionally and not materially. What should I do? You know, that there's this question that was very nicely asked. If one is a Kanishta Adhikari, how can they follow the instructions in this particular verse? Are these only for the Madhyama Adhikaris or the Kanishta, or can a Kanishta make proper use of them too? So this instruction by Sage Prabhupada is simply describing the qualities of a Madhyama. But if you're not in that space, it doesn't fit you. Or is it something that we, or the ones of us that are in the Kanishta platform, can actually have used to? And the answer is yes, because what is described here is a process. It's not something that describe, but it's rather a developmental instruction. It's something that is given to us to develop. It's like a sadhana. It's a practice. We're given a process, and we're given a process that have particular elements that are required for actually being able to go further in the process. So yes, it is important for us to see it like that. And so this is a path. It's not just a state of achievement, but it's a path. It's a very dynamic path that we can cultivate. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta say, one should not only officially offer respect to the Lord and his paraphernalia, but actually render service to the devotees. This is the highest duty for a devotee. If we are Kanishtas, this verse shows what maturity looks like and how to take a step in that direction. I'm going to stop here, and if you have any questions or comments.
The fact that the question was asked if this instruction applies to Kanishtas is very important or relevant, because as you were explaining, it's the verse would appear to be presenting the qualities of a Majjamadikari. So, in thinking of that question of what you described of the Kanishta Adhikari, that the discrimination or whatever discrimination is there through being acting in the realm of devotional service, the discrimination will be coming more from a material level, meaning how their ego is operating or the biases that are inherently present. So I was thinking of that seems in one sense that if the persons are operating that way, they're kind of, what's the word, trapped in one sense. And then in thinking more about it, I was thinking, well, actually, it's a clearing stage. So the persons can't be sufficiently or don't have the capacity to fully control their minds or their actions in some sense. But it is a clearing kind of stage. So and then when I was reading the verse again, the thought came that actually the verse is saying, because I was thinking that it means that Kanishtas are very trapped in that inability to go past their ego or past their biases. So then when I was reading the verse again, it struck me that the point that's being made is that one is cultivating an attitude of service.
Right.
So it seems that maybe that's the pivotal point for the Kanishta Adhikari, to just have an attitude of service, to kind of break through that all that big chunk of biases, that big chunk of false ego. So anyway, that was something that struck me because I was thinking just how the Kanishta seems so trapped in many ways.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. I think the same thing too. Uh, it's not only service, but it's a whole process. It's a whole structure in one sense. The sadhana bhakti is a structure that is designed especially to bring one to the stage, to bring one to a stages of higher places of devotion. So, so sadhana is a structure, and a structure is what helps someone who is conditioned. You know, when you do something, a structure. So that's why if you want to teach someone who have a bad habit, you create a structure space in which the good habit is regulated or is regularly practiced, then that helps overcome the condition like that, no? So the whole process of sadhana bhakti, which entails purificatory practices of devotional service, but also the activities of performing service, but within a culture of respect. So then there is the whole Vaishnava etiquette. So etiquette is important. So even if one is, our mind is like, but you go through the etiquette. Like, I remember Srimad Swami advising a disciple that someone asked a question about, you know, how to deal with persons who are, you know, who are doing something wrong to you. And I can remember the whole answer, but one important point that he makes and he constantly makes is make sure that you don't engage in some offensive retaliation, like that you don't get engaged in offenses. Yeah, you do it always with a culture of respect. So if one is more or less within that regulation, trying to regulate, and don't feel happy about this situation, but externally, I do the right thing. I do it respectfully, you know, then you have you should be the whole activity itself will become a means of purification. You know, one sees that. I do appreciate that in yourself because you're a person who is, you know, culturally it's like that. You know, the British background is all proper and there's etiquette and protocols and things like that, and that facilitates that type of respectful. I mean, Latin cultures is there's no protocol, so sometimes one can very easily be disrespectful or not very thoughtful about, you know, things. It's too spontaneous. But Vaishnava etiquette is like that. We have to be, we have to somehow or other apply it and learn it and cultivate it and condition ourselves to respond with proper etiquette, with proper Vaishnava etiquette. And that's what helps. In one sense, that's a service, you know. So service have to be accompanied with that. Because service can be also um, mixed with some personal, you know, how you say, some personal interest that at the end is it doesn't touch the heart. It's more or less like, no, 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 just leave me alone. No, it's okay. I don't need that service. You know, sometimes you experience that. You know, someone doing a service and but the heart is not there, and it's actually more disturbing than, you know, a service. Like, yeah, so we agree. Any other question from anyone? Bishop Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I like your class, so it's very nice class. Very practical way to all phases for who want to progress in Krishna consciousness. But I will hear again this class. But in the beginning, you said that um, the respect, tolerance, and four principles you said to cultivate this relationship with the holy name. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, it's a mantra 3 of the Shikshastaka. Trinad api shunichena. You know, we recite it every morning in Mangalarti.
Yeah.
So one should be more humble than a blade of grass. One should be more tolerant than a tree, and devoid of all sense of all prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly. That's that verse.
Then,
It's an important verse.
then you feel the relationship with the holy name.
Yes, as we go further and we become, those qualities stand to become deeper and deeper in our character, then it is explained by Lord Chaitanya. I mean, it's Lord Chaitanya's direct instruction. He says, in that position, when we cultivate that deeply, we can chant the holy name constantly. Previous to that, Lord Chaitanya says that, I mean, like we all understand, we have faith, all of us, we have faith in the holy name, we have faith in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. That's,
Holy name is not different than Krishna.
yeah, we all have that faith.
But yeah, but I like very connected to the holy name, like that constantly we chant and hear. So what are the four principles? You said tolerance, respect,
Humility,
patience, and humility.
humility, and one curse, one false ego.
Okay. Okay.
Those four things.
Yeah, false ego is.
The false ego is very difficult.
Yes.
Indeed. All right.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Maybe
everybody.
I will ask question next time because I want to hear today again the same class.
It's all good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.